Good morning. Lovely sunny day down here today, so I thought I'd take the time to try and get some sowings done today. Carrots I've done into a bathtub using a topsoil and sand mix. We've not used them before, so this is the first year that we're actually going to be growing carrots in the bathtubs. We've sowed some a couple of weeks ago, and I've just sowed some just as well. And you just want to spread out as much as what you can your carrot seeds. Our carrots, we try and do 2 to maybe 3 sowings a year of carrots. They store incredibly well and they freeze well too. We sometimes cook a few bags down with a little bit of butter and honey, so we can actually use these straight from the freezer with our meals. We're also going to maybe sow some spring onions and some herbs, but we're going to take a look at some of the sowings that we've already done so far this year and see how well they're actually doing. So inside our little polytunnel, and I must admit it's very warm here today. The sun makes an amazing difference to the temperature in here. But remember, your polytunnels and greenhouses can still get frost. So if you have got anything a little bit tender, make sure you cover it with fleece or a little bit of plastic, an upturned clear pot, something just to keep them protected from that little bit of frost. Because obviously we still have risk of frost right up till May in general here in the UK. So let's take a look at some of the seedlings. Well, I'll show you some of the seedlings that we have sown since February and see how they're doing. All our lettuces. Now we need to prick out some more. We have pricked out some. Now we've got all year cos, gem and romaine here. Got some of our peas. Now these are the early peas that we sowed. These will be going out in the next day or so when I can find the time to actually do it. In fact, I might actually put them out today, but I will cover it with a little bit of fleece, more because it will help put mice off trying to eat them, because last year we did lose quite a few to mice and pigeons. Our pak choys, or some of our pak choys that we sowed, these will be going out soon as well. Again, I'll put these under fleece for protection. Some of our broccoli. Now these are the autumn greens. Doing quite well. I think they could do with a little bit of a water though. These are our kale plants. I only sowed these about 3 days ago, so they've only just started coming up. Yeah, we got dwarf curly, dwarf blue and some Nero. I love the Nero. I love that dark green texture and taste. These are some of the leeks we've sown. Looking quite good, but I think I may sow a few more today. Not quite sure yet. These are our Spanish onions. Doing okay. I just forgot how slow growing they are from seed, but they'll be absolutely fine to go out. I think they'll be actually fine to go out soon. I'm going to put them in the onion bed. So this is a mixture. This is our parsley, and these little tiny seedlings here are our celery. Now I've done 2 lots of celeries because we weren't sure whether they were actually going to germinate or not. I've not grown celery from seed. So it looks like this year we're going to have plenty of celery, which is not a problem. They freeze well, and I love to keep them in the freezer to add to stocks and stews through the winter. Some of our Brussels sprouts that we've thinned out and put into module trays. Again, we sowed them at multiple different times, so these are doing actually not too bad. And another few weeks and they'll be big enough to go outside. Some of our spinaches. Now this is just one lot of sowings of spinach. We find if we grow spinach for cooking with, you need an awful lot. So we actually have planted quite a few this year, and hopefully we'll get a half decent harvest. But we'll sow these again, I think midsummer to late summer, so I can get some later on in the year as well, because we've actually got some in the ground that's actually overwintered really well. These are some of our coriander seed sowings. As you can see, they look all right. And again, these will be going outside soon as well, with a little bit of fleece cover. And then I'll probably start sowing even more. In my eyes, I can never get enough coriander. These are some more different broccolis that were sown a little bit later. Now these are a little bit leggy, simply because we'd took them home and left them in the home a little bit too long. But I'm sure these will be absolutely fine. They've been in the polytunnel for a while now, and obviously have started developing true leaves. So I can't see any issues with these in the future, really. Now these are just some of the beetroots. Now obviously if you saw the past video, I sowed quite a lot of beetroots, and these are looking really good. Again, I'm going to put these out soon. Either grow them in the greenhouse along the edge, or outside with some fleece or some plastic cloches, just to keep them protected, because the frost can knock beetroots back quite a lot. Now, as well as onion seeds, we also did onion sets, and we started them off in modules, because we have some naughty birds around here that like to pull them out of the ground. So I've heard this is a good way to help stop that to some degree. So these are some of our onions. Now we have got quite a few. These are Stuttgart. We've grown these before, but last year the foxes dug up a whole bed of onions and completely ruined the crop. They never quite recovered. So this year we have an awful lot of onions to go into the ground. But hey, we use onions pretty much every day. So growing as much as what we can makes life so much easier. So that's just some of the seeds in our polytunnel at the moment. We've also got some in the greenhouse, which I'll show you. Cauliflowers, doing really well. To be honest, I might need to sow a few more. Some of the cabbages that we sowed in February, these another couple of weeks, and these will be going into the ground in their areas. Now all these are early cabbages, summer cabbages. So by the time these have all grown, we can harvest these and get our winter crop in. But these will only fill up half the big cabbage bed. Plus we're going to put some of the winter cabbages into our potato beds after we've actually dug them up, so we get the most use out of the area. The kharl robis have done okay as well. Not a very high germination rate this year, but you never know. I might get some more coming up, but I'll prick what I've got out, give the tray a good water, and normally within a week or so something else is sprouted in there, which will then be transferred into slightly bigger pots. Now we sowed an awful lot of early cabbages. Golden Acer, Greyhound, and earliest of all cabbages. Now these are the ones we didn't prick out. So I think I'm actually going to prick these out and actually give them away to people, because we've got plenty here to give. So that's just some of our seedlings that we've sowed over the last couple of months. We're now coming towards April. Our broad beans are in and looking healthy, which I'm happy about. Our potatoes are in, and if we do need to fleece because of any frost as they approach the surface, we can just fleece. It's no big deal. So with it being late March, there's going to be a lot more sowing come April. That's when I'll start focusing on my plants that don't like frost. At the moment, pretty much everything I've grown is okay with a little bit of cold, but next month is the month where it really does start upping its game on the sowing. I'm going to get my squashes and my pumpkins, add some cucumbers, all those plants that are a little bit more tender, and then come May is where the rest will be planted. More of the French beans and things like that. Now obviously we are quite lucky because we have got the polytunnel and the greenhouse, so we can actually start a lot of seedlings a little bit earlier than most. But it's very easy to create your own mini greenhouse or cold frames to be able to get ahead somewhat in the sowing season. Now again, remember to only plant plants that can take a little bit of cold. There's no point at this time of year trying to grow something that's extremely warm, loving, and will die at the mere sight of any minus figures in temperature. So that's pretty much all we've got for today. There's a few bits and pieces going on. There's a few things that have grown, and within the next week or two, they'll be transplanted into the actual plot. So as you can see, it's all coming along nicely. I think we're expecting a little bit more wet weather over the next few days again. It's kind of our April showers, but in March these days. What have you got sown? What's doing really well for you this year? Or are you waiting till a little bit later? Our tomatoes and our chilies are doing really well at home. We're not bringing those down to the allotment just yet, because again, they are plants that do not like the cold, and especially tomatoes and peppers that like it above 10 degrees. So they'll be at home for a little bit longer yet. Now, we will be doing a bit of a seed marathon over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So if this is something that will interest you, why don't you like and subscribe? You'll be able to keep up to date with some maybe tricks and tips to your sowings and propagations of your plants for this growing season. So that's our little tour at the moment of the seedlings and the plants so far. I think it's time for me to go and grab a cup of coffee. Feeling a little bit tired today.